Hi all, my name is Haley Comet and welcome to my cosmic corner of the internet where we discuss all things astrology. And today, Magic Monday 101, Astrology 101, some fast facts that will help your study of astrology as well as your comprehension of my weekly horoscope series, Magic Monday, posted every single Monday, 2:30 a.m. PDT, 5:30 a.m. EDT, breaking down the celestial influences into a way that's easily understandable by you. This video will be linked in my Magic Monday. So if there's a concept I talk about, like you're like, ooh, she said there's a lot of fire in the cosmos. What does that mean? Or, ooh, I remember she mentioned that each day of the week is ruled by a particular planet, but I can't remember off the top of my head which week she said that, which week of Magic Monday she said it, or which planet is. This will essentially be a guide to taking you through some of the concepts that I talk about Magic Monday and hopefully aiding your understanding in the topics that I discuss. And I want to give a huge shout out to Olivia, who gave me this idea, and she's been a long-term supporter of Magic Monday. I've linked her video, Dog Moms, below. It is absolutely hilarious, and I recommend checking it out. She gave me this idea, and I'm so appreciative of that, and also just for the support. So if you get any value through this video, if you wouldn't mind liking, commenting, subscribing. Hopefully this isn't your first video from me, but if it is, hello, hi, I'm Haley Comet. And without further ado, let's dive in. So firstly, where do I get the information for Magic Monday? I promise I do not pull it out of thin air. I take the celestial astrological influences and derive meaning from it. So you'll commonly hear me say that a particular planet, let's say the moon, has entered Taurus. What I mean by that is that the moon has entered the Taurus sector of the sky. I study tropical Western astrology, which means that there are 12 signs. Each sign gets 30 degrees of the sky. It's on a fixed system, and so I'm just saying that that planet has entered a different section of the sky. The planet is the planet. It will always rule the themes that it does, but when it enters a particular sign, the tone it takes is a little different. I like to liken it to an actor playing a role. Samantha Robinson will always be Samantha Robinson, but in The Love Witch, she was the Love Witch. Same with Mars. Mars will always be the planet of action and assertion, but when it's in Taurus, it's playing more of a Taurus role. So we might strive to get our way in a Taurus way. Slow, steady, languid, Taurus-like themes. You'll hear me say, this planet has entered this sign. I'm saying the planet has entered that sector of the sky. You'll also hear me say that planets are aspecting one another. What that means is that they're making an angle to one another. The angle that they're making is different based on the terminology I utilize. Conjunction means that they're located at the same portion of the sky. Now, it's important to say, if I say moon conjunct Neptune, doesn't mean that the moon went all the way to where Neptune is, right? Neptune's very far, but it indicates from our vantage point here on Earth, where Neptune is, it looks like the planet is, it looks like the moon is like right on top of it, right? They're located in the same, on the same degree in the sky from our vantage point here on Earth, not in the same orbit. So that's a conjunction, and that can be either positive or negative depending on the planets involved. They're joined. They've become a team. I like to liken it to sort of like a marriage. They're married essentially, for better or for worse, right? You could be connected with a partner who really brings you down, or someone who's like your better half. Planets are the same when it comes to conjunction. They're very influenced by one another. Whereas sextiles, that's a 45-degree angle. That's a softer influence. It's helpful. I want you to think of that sort of like an acquaintance vibe. So if I say Mars is sextiling Jupiter, they're like sort of working together, but they're not like besties, right? Trine, I would think of it like a bestie. It's a very helpful influence. There's an even flow of energy. They're friends. They're working together. So for example, let's say Venus, the planet of love, beauty, is trining Saturn, the planet of responsibility. You might hear me say in Magic Monday, I might say there might be themes around wanting to commit to a love partnership because Venus love, Saturn commitment, they're working together. A trine is 120 degrees. A square is a 90-degree angle. They're squaring one another, and they're beefing. They are beefing. So if I say that two planets are squaring one another, they are not working together, and worse parts of those planets could rear their ugly heads on those aspects. So if I say the sun is squaring Uranus, sun being the planet of ego and identity, Uranus being the planet of individuality, eccentricity, there could be people, lashing out because of ego. Those could be some themes that I talk about. Opposition is like on and off relationship. That's 180 degrees away from one another. It's a harsh energy. They're not super like working together, but it can sort of go back and forth. There's something unsteady about it. So of course, you don't need to know all of these intricacies, but just so you know what it is when I'm talking about. Since I've lightly touched on the planets, I'll give you a quick overview here. So what each of the planets rules in astrology. Sun is the celestial body, the luminary, that governs ego, identity, self-expression, how we shine, right? And in transit astrology, which is what I use in Magic Monday, it indicates, our desire, our sort of life force energy. It indicates our creativity, our self-expression. Moon is how we are feeling. So you'll hear me a lot in Magic Monday, since I'm only talking about a week and a half. I'm constantly talking about the moon because the moon is how we feel. And the moon changes signs every 2 to 3 days. So it's very quick. It's making lots of aspects, and it's sort of just how we're feeling as we move through the week. Mercury is what our mental space is, what we're interested in. Venus is love, it's pleasure. Mars is our action, our assertion. Jupiter is luck, abundance. Saturn is responsibility, discipline. Uranus is unpredictability, ups and downs. Neptune is spirituality, but also rose-colored glasses. And Pluto is the planet of destruction and rebirth. You'll also hear me talk about at times Chiron, which is the wounded healer. You'll hear me mention at times the North Node, which is what we are collectively moving towards, and the South Node, which is what we are moving away. Again, that's a very rapid fire, but just so you have some sort of baseline understanding of these planets. And now, rather going through a deep sign exploration, I want to mostly bucket them into their modality and their element. So you'll hear me say some days like, okay, this week we have no fire in the cosmos. Or I'll say, wow, there's a lot of fixed energy in the cosmos. Here is what I mean when I say that. So there are 4 elements in astrology. There is fire, which are the signs Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And these signs are bold, courageous. Fire is our sort of unapologetic nature when we just, want something and go after something, right? It's our ability to just be unapologetically ourselves. It's very purifying influence, tends to be comedic and a little bit more lighthearted. Earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. This is our ability to feel grounded. It's our connection to the planet. It's our connection to money. So when I talk about earth element, it's typically our ability to feel, rooted within our bodies, take care of our assets, our money, our physical environment, things of the nature. Air are the signs Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. These are the signs that govern thought and intellect. So when I talk about air, it can indicate social issues or just socializing. It can indicate humanitarian issues, anything that unites us as a collective, right? We all breathe in and out the same air. And water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. This is associated with the world of feelings, of intuition, of things that don't make sense, that are sort of murky and moving. So those signs all belong to an element, but they also belong to a modality. And in the element, each sign will belong to a different modality, okay? So you won't have 2 fire signs that are also cardinal signs. You'll have a fire cardinal sign, right? A fixed water sign. There's only one that has their element and their modality. So I'll break down the modality, and it gives these signs a different feeling and a different flavor. So I'll start with the cardinal signs because seasons start with cardinal signs. So that makes it easy to remember. So I'm going to talk about seasons in the Northern Hemisphere. Spring, that's always the beginning of Aries season. Summer, always the beginning of Cancer. Fall, always the beginning of Libra. Winter, always the beginning of Capricorn. Cardinal energy is the energy around starting, initiating, going after what you want. So when I talk about a lot of cardinal energy in the zodiac, it could be a lot of starter, entrepreneurial, sort of initiating like energy. Fixed signs are always in the middle of a season. So they fall right after the cardinal season. So their energy is around maintaining, right? Whereas cardinal is about starting the season, fixed is about just keeping that energy from one sign to the other. So they have very consistent, stable nature to them. So this is Taurus because that's in the middle of spring. Leo because it's in the middle of summer. Scorpio because that's in the middle of fall. and Aquarius because it's in the middle of winter. And these signs are determined. They don't give up easily because it's the energy around maintaining. They can also be a little stubborn, a little stuck in their way, but they know what they want and they like what they like. So when I say there's a lot of fixed energy in the cosmos, you can ascertain that people might be a little bit more stubborn or stuck in their own way. Mutable signs always end season. So it's the energy around transitioning from one thing to the next. So Gemini season sort of transitions us from spring into summer, right? It happens right before cardinal season, Cancer. And then Virgo is our transition from summer to fall. And then Sagittarius is our transition from fall to winter. And Pisces is our transition from winter to spring. So the mutable signs, the ones that I listed, have this energy about being adaptable, being go with the flow, but they can be a little distracted or all over the place because they do have this changeable nature about themselves. So sometimes you'll hear me mention that each day of the week is ruled by a different planet. And I have a whole video just detailing this topic if you do want to dive in. It's how I structure my days, truthfully. But just so you have some awareness, just right now, just a brief little taste of it. Sunday is obviously ruled by the sun. Monday is ruled by the moon. Tuesday is ruled by Mars. Wednesday is ruled by Mercury. Thursday is ruled by Jupiter. Friday is ruled by Venus. Saturday is ruled by Saturn. So if you hear me say, oh my goodness, we've got a Taurus moon on Venus day, that's so perfect. Venus day equals Friday. Jupiter's day equals Thursday. Each planet rules a different day of the week. Sometimes in Magic Monday, you'll hear me say, the moon is void. And it doesn't mean that the moon's gone, that you'll go outside and there's no moon, right? But what it means is that it's made its last aspect before it enters a new sign, thus a new sector of the sky. So let's say the moon is chugging through Aquarius and the last planet it connects with, remember I talked about aspects as conversations, so it sextiled Mars, so I had a nice little conversation with Mars, it squared Saturn, so it was kind of beefing with Saturn, and then it meets up with Jupiter, and that's the last conversation it has before it enters Pisces, okay? The time in between when the moon made its final aspect to when it enters the next sign, it is considered void, okay? And it's not that you need to pause the entire world, but it's considered that things planted during that time don't really bloom and prosper. So it's best to stick to things that are more mundane in nature. I tell you this because I don't want you to pitch your project that you've been working on for years during a void moon. It's not the most productive time. You could even notice in your personal life, you're more sleepy during void moons. One of my favorite astrologers, Anne Orderly, she would always say, the moon's not working and neither should you. Like void moon is really a time to just rest, rejuvenate. Sometimes, of course, we need to work during void moons, but handle things that are a little bit less pressure on your mental space and a little bit more mundane because you might find that it's hard to focus or it's hard to sort of stay on track. You'll hear me say certain times of the moon's void, just put it in your mind, those aren't terribly productive times. Now, it is debated whether the moon can truly be void in two signs, and I'll tell you why that is. So each planet has a place that it loves to be thriving and a place where it's like, I hate it here. So each planet will have an exaltation. That means it's the planet's favorite place to be in. It's being lifted up like royalty. Each planet will have rulership where it's really cozy there because it rules that sign. And then there will be places of fall where it's like, I hate it here. This is not me at all. And detriment, which means it's the sign that rules that planet's opposite. And this will make more sense as I go through it. And how I want you to liken this within your brain is think of exaltations and rulership as actresses or actors who are playing roles that just make sense, that just exhibit the best aspects of themselves. Like Jennifer Aniston playing Rachel, a great match. But what if I told you that Hugh Jackman was gonna play Tinkerbell in the next live action Peter Pan movie? a little weird, right? So that would be sort of like a detriment or a fall. It's not that Hugh Jackman is a bad actor. It's not that Tinkerbell is a bad role. It's just that the two together are sort of a mismatch, whereas an exaltation or a rulership is like, the planet is like, I know this role, I've got it. So I'm gonna take you through all of the different ones and just think of those planets as operating super strong. So if they're in an aspect, they're gonna be a little bit more influential. They're basically gonna be the HBIC. They're gonna be the one in charge when they're having, connections and conversations with other planets. So the sun rules Leo. Leo rules the sun. So the sun is very comfortable in Leo. It's very strong there. It is exalted, which means the best attributes of that planet can come forward in Aries, as sun is the planet of ego. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, so thus the sign of self. It's a nice little match. And then we take the opposites of those two signs, and that will be our detriment and our fall. So the opposite of Leo is Aquarius. So the sun is in its detriment in Aquarius, because Aquarius is a sign of the humanitarian. Sun is the celestial body around self. So they're not inherently working together. Then we move to the exaltation, sun and Aries, right? The opposite of Aries is Libra. Libra is a sign that is about one-to-one relationships. Sun is about self. So again, it's not that anything's wrong with you if you're a Libra or Aquarius, it's just not the most natural fit, right? Then the moon. The moon is in its rulership in Cancer, because moon is emotions, Cancer is about emotional receptivity, and it is exalted in Taurus, because moon is how we feel. Taurus is a very steady, grounded, sensual energy. So it's debated, just to go back to my void moon conversation, if the moon can truly be void in these signs because it is so inherently comfortable. I am personally of the belief that the moon is void when it's void, but I do want to let you know other astrologers do not abide by that, and I would never ever disparage anyone else's practice nor influence you to practice astrology exactly how I do. Find what works for you, and that's all I can really ask for. And then the opposites of those, so Cancer is the sign of home, family, goes well with the moon, right? The opposite of Cancer is Capricorn, which is work, outside prestige, ambition. So we've got the celestial body of emotion in the sign of hard work. It's not the most natural fit, right? So it is in its detriment there. And it's in its fall in Scorpio, because it's the opposite of Taurus, because Scorpio is really deep, intense emotions, and the moon doesn't want to go that deep with things, right? It wants to feel safe, it wants to feel connected. Scorpio is the energy about destruction and rebirth. Taurus is the energy around building. The moon wants to feel safe, it wants to feel secure. So next we'll take it to Mercury, the planet of communication. It is ruled by Gemini and Virgo. So we've got a double rulership, okay? And it's comfy there because Gemini is the sign of the messenger, of connecting together ideas, and Virgo is the sign of details. So Mercury, which is very intelligent, analytical, does well in both of these signs, but it does exceptionally well in Virgo. It both rules Virgo and is exalted in Virgo. So that's the only planet where its exaltation is also a rulership. All the others have different ones. Virgo's just special, I guess. So it's very comfortable in Gemini and Virgo, and it is inherently uncomfortable in the opposites of Gemini and Virgo, which are Sagittarius and Pisces, because these are big picture, visionary energies, whereas Mercury just wants to understand things. It's very analytical. It's about the details, whereas Sagittarius is about the big picture, and Pisces sort of dreamer energy. So it doesn't do as well. Venus, the planet of love, rules Libra and Taurus. And you can think of Taurus as the more earthy expression of Venus. So delicious food and lovely aesthetics, things of the nature. Whereas Libra is the more airy part of Venus, which is charisma, charm, things of the nature. Both very strong in both, and then very weak in the opposite signs to those two. So the opposite of Taurus is Scorpio. So Venus wants things to feel good. Scorpio is too intense, right? And then the opposite of Libra is Aries, because Aries is about a challenge, going after what you want, being your own person, and Venus is about attracting good things to you. Venus is exalted in Pisces, and it's in its fall in Virgo, okay? Because Virgo is about details, attending to all of them, and Venus in Pisces is just able to be the idealist, hedonist that it wants to be. Mars rules Aries and Scorpio. It's strong in these signs because these are both signs that are about going after what you want, albeit Scorpio in a more shrewd, strategic way, Aries in a more forceful, direct way. And then it is weak in those signs opposite. So Libra, because Libra is about charm, about working with other people, and Mars is about asserting ourselves, so it's not the most natural fit. And then Taurus, because Taurus is a very slow and steady energy, whereas Mars is like, go after what you want right now, get it done. And then Mars is exalted in Capricorn, as Capricorn is a very ambitious, practical sign that wants to get to the top of things. Mars likes to put energy into things. And then it is weak in Cancer, because Cancer rules emotions, and Mars is the planet of war. There's no time for emotions. And then Jupiter is the planet of luck, abundance. It rules Sagittarius and Pisces, so it's comfy there, and thus it is more uncomfortable in Gemini and Virgo. It is exalted in Cancer, and it is in its detriment in Capricorn. Because Jupiter is the planet of generosity, and so it does well in Cancer, which is a very nurturing influence, whereas Capricorn is sort of like the stingy businessman type, whereas Jupiter is like, what is it that you believe in? What is it that you need? So they aren't the most cozy there. Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius, so it's very comfortable there, able to be the stern businessman that it wants to be, and thus it is weak in those signs opposite, so Cancer and Leo. It is exalted in Libra, because Libra is about one-to-one relationships, partnerships, and Saturn is a planet of commitment, so it does well there. And then it is weakened by Aries, because Aries can be a very impulsive energy, and Saturn is karma. So you'll notice that I didn't mention Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto. So I utilize traditional rulerships. Other astrologers will use modern, so they'll say that Neptune rules Pisces, Uranus rules Aquarius, so on and so forth, and I'm not making them wrong whatsoever. I just personally use traditional rulerships. That's how I've been taught. That's what my study is grounded within, so that is what I utilize. I do utilize outer planets for transit. So I want you to think, if you have one of these in your natal chart, that you are flawed. It's not working as strong as it can be. And in transit wise, you just have to think, like if I say Mars is in Libra, trining Saturn in Aquarius, which one, you just have to figure which one is stronger. Saturn is, because Saturn rules Aquarius. Mars is in its detriment in Aries. So it just sort of helps in understanding which planet's sort of operating or sort of winning that conversation or being the leader in that conversation. And it makes more sense when we're talking more harsh aspects, but just so you have some grounding within that idea. Sometimes you'll hear me say aspect pattern. So if I say terms such as grand trine or T-squares. So I'll start first with T-squares. A T-square occurs when there is an opposition, both squaring a third planet, and they'll always be in the same modality. And typically I'll refer to it in terms of the modality that it is. For example, if there's a fixed T-square, so let's say Saturn is in Aquarius opposing Sun in Leo, and they're both squaring Mars and Scorpio. That's a fixed T-square. And what a T-square basically means is that they're all fighting up, right? It's a tense energy in the cosmos. And the modality sort of gives it its own flavor. Like cardinal will be an energy around impulsivity, wanting to take action. Fixed T-square will sort of have this stubborn feeling to it. A mutable T-square will be this feeling of overwhelm. You'll also hear me say sometimes a cross, which indicates 4 planets of the same modality are basically all making a cross. So there's 2 oppositions, and then these planets are basically squaring. So all of the modalities are connected. So let's say there was a planet over here in Taurus. Let's say the moon was in Taurus. So moon in Taurus squaring Saturn in Aquarius, squaring Mars in Scorpio, squaring Sun in Leo. That's a cross. So when I say cross or T-square, it indicates there's a tenseness. When I say a grand trine, that means 3 signs of the same element are making a beautiful trine to one another. So it's a 120-degree angle, and it looks like a triangle. So let's say Sun in Cancer is trining Neptune in Pisces, which is trining Venus in Scorpio. It'll happen in the same element, and it's an even flow of energy. You'll want to pay attention to the element. So in that example, water would indicate themes around emotion, intuition. It's all flowing. It's a more feel-good influence. There are more aspect patterns, but those are the ones I typically mention within Magic Monday the most. If you have any other questions that would be helpful for Magic Monday, please let me know. I could always do another video. It is my hope that Magic Mondays not only start your week on a positive note, but also further your own astrological study. And hopefully I made it clear in this video, I'm not saying your practice needs to look exactly like mine. I try to teach in a way that is accessible, even if you utilize a different house system than I, a different rulership system than I. My Instagram handle is @Comet Astrology. My TikTok is the same. I would love to hear your feedback there. You can always comment below. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.